All right, as I was telling Keegan, um, I've gotten a little bit behind on grading due to my work in the other class. That's an excuse, I guess, and I'm sorry for that. But so what we're going to do today is I'm going to lecture on Chapter 11, all right, and the rest of the period will be lab. On tomorrow, I had asked you about doing those summaries where you can get 50 of your 100 points, and then we'll change. So the one for Chapter 8 is due tomorrow. Just a few paragraphs. It doesn't have to be, I don't want it to be a sentence because that's not, make it no more than a page. How's that? And then we'll take the Chapter 8 written test, and then I'm going to lecture on Chapter 12, and probably then it'll be around 10 o'clock or so, I don't know, and lab the rest of the period. All right? Then Friday, pretty much the same thing. The summary of Chapter 9 will be due. We'll do a Chapter 9 written test, and the rest of the period will be lab. All right, so you're going to have a lot of lab between the next 3 days to catch up or whatever. All right? Next Monday, that's, notice how it just keeps kind of going on. So that should be a 10. That should be a 10. All right, and then lab Tuesday will be 11, 11, and Wednesday will be 12. All right, okay, I said I'll give this to you. Now, and then what we'll do is we'll have a review on Wednesday, and I can move it up a day, so I can make it Thursday of next week. So a week from tomorrow will be your next hands-on test. Now, I know what you said. I appreciated what you said about wanting to do something new. Most of the stuff you will do for this next test will be involved. Well, for example, I'm going to have you take one of the pages and recreate it using grid. Another one of the pages and recreate it using flex. See what I'm saying? You won't have to write any code. It's just going to be using the CSS to do flexbox or grid. All right? This chapter is going to talk about images. All right? Well, you've already got a boatload of images in here, so I think we'll have most of that covered. They'll talk a little bit about links. I may ask you to go onto one of the pages and add an ordered list or add an unordered list. See what I'm saying? So it's not like you're almost going to type no code. That's what I'm telling. So we probably will start with the one we've been working on. All right, just because I don't want you to have to write code. All right, and I think hopefully you'll be fine with that. So what we'll do is a week from today, we'll grab that one that we had worked on, the one that had the picture, a picture over here, then a picture over here, etc. We'll work on that one. We'll set that up using, we'll do one page with flex, we'll do one page with grid, we'll put in some ordered lists, etc. So you should be really prepared. I'm going to give you all 4 hours to do that test a week from tomorrow. You might need an hour. You might need all 4 hours. I don't know. All right? I just never know, because like people will say to me, well, how long is the lecture going to be tomorrow? And I don't want to sound stupid or sarcastic. I guess maybe sarcastic, but I haven't given it yet. How can I tell you how long it's going to be? You know what I'm saying? I never know. So that'll get us through, okay, a week from tomorrow. Like I said, I'll double check that. I'm going to run myself off a copy right now, and I'll double check it, and if it looks okay, I'll give you both a copy. All right, so that said, let's jump into Chapter 11, which is on images and icons. Again, some of the material in here we've already gone through. All right? So, first thing they're going to talk about are types of images for the web. And although the book is pretty up to date, it's not totally up to date. All right, if you look up on the screen here, I put this off to the side. I was lucky I didn't know how it would work. But bitmaps and GIFs, they're kind of the old way of doing things. Did you ever see like a real kind of a dorky looking logo that somebody almost looks like they handmade? You know what I'm talking about? All right, those are usually bitmaps and GIFs. All right, that's what they're usually used for. Today, when you want an image, it's one of these kinds that are in here typically. All right, a JPEG, a PNG, or a WebP. Okay, And JPEGs are probably the ones that are used the most often. I think that's Joint Photographics Group, and we'll talk about that in a minute. That's Portable Network Graphics, and these are pretty new. If you don't know the WebP, those are Google images. And they've basically come up with their own way of doing things. So I don't know if that's actually in here or not. I would never test you on something that's not in the book. But just so you know that that's out there as well. So we'll talk about how you work with images. And then a couple advanced skills. Now, did you ever see this? Maybe you've done this, maybe you haven't. All right? But during my life, probably shouldn't even be saying this on the tape, but I was a programmer. I worked for AT&T in Naperville, Illinois. 4 times a week, we went out to dinner. We worked sometimes real late at night, we went out to dinner. Point is, I was almost 300 pounds. All right? And when I quit, I was not in very good health. That's one of the reasons that I quit. Well, I got into teaching, started eating better, started exercising. Within a year, I was down to 185 pounds. All right? And people actually were coming up to me, and one woman came up to me and asked if I had AIDS. Because I had lost so much weight. The point, though, is this. Have you ever gone out to, like, maybe you haven't, you probably neither one of you have to, but a place like Weight Watchers where they've got a person who's heavy, and you put your mouse on them, and it shows them light. And then you take your mouse off again, and they're heavy again. That's called a rollover. So we're going to talk about how you can do rollovers. There are many ways to do rollovers. They're going to do the rollovers in this book just using CSS. It's better to do rollovers using JavaScript. So you will learn a better way of doing it in about a month or so. All right? But this way will work, just so you know. All right? So we'll talk about some of these advanced skills and then some related skills for working with images. One thing about images, I have given you a couple sites that you can go, that you can go to. All right, you used them on yesterday. You actually used them on the test, but you can go out to pexels.com. All right, notice free stock photos, so you can use those. And you can go out to the one I suggested last time on splash.com. All right? And you can, maybe I typed it wrong. Yes, I did. On splash.com. And you can go out there. The internet source of freely usable images. Now, a lot of times when you use these images, what they will tell you, so I'm just going to grab one. So I'm going to put in here Jim, J-Y-M. Okay? And I'm just going to grab a picture. I'll grab this guy right here. Okay? And I'll say I want to download this. Well, notice it'll say here that you should give attribution. You don't have to do that, but it's highly recommended. All right? So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll copy this, and then what I'll do is in the alt tag, I'll put, a guy doing chin-ups, and then I will put the attribution in there. See what I'm saying? So anybody who wanted to look at it, it would be in there. All right? Okay. But one thing you should never do is go out to somebody else's site and go, cool image, copy it, and put it in your website. Did you hear that? You can literally get sued for that. People have been sued for that. People have lost money over that. It's the same kind of thing as you should never, like if I decided that I was going to go and take somebody's song that's out there right now, and I decided I wanted to go and record it, and I didn't want to give them any money for it. I could get in trouble for that. Same kind of thing. All right, so we'll talk about this. Notice at the end, how to create favicons. Guess what? You know how to do that. So we're going to blast through some of the stuff that's in here. All right. So again, types of images for the web. Here is the chart. I'm not going to read a bit of this to you. But typically, JPEGs, PNGs, and WebPs are the ones you use because they have the best quality. Notice with a GIF, only 256 colors. And if you go, well, 250, that's a lot of colors. No, they're more bland looking stuff. But one thing you can do with GIFs just so you know, you can animate. Did you ever see, like, for example, like maybe a kind of a goofy little website where somebody looks like they're walking across the screen type of thing? That's usually done with a GIF.
They have those on Google sometimes.
Yeah, they'll have, depending on what's,
the holiday.
yeah, right. But JPEGs, PNGs, and WebPs, all right, are the ones that are used most often for good images. And notice, PNGs were actually meant to be, to give you the best of GIF and JPEG together. Now, WebPs are supposed to be a replacement for PNGs and JPEGs. So notice, they're 26% smaller than PNGs and 25 to 34% smaller than JPEGs. You might say, well, who cares? If you've got a website that is filled with a lot of images, it takes longer to load because those images have to load. So anytime you can make something smaller, it will typically load faster. All right, and that's what they're talking about here. So again, if you notice, there's JPEG type of images, there's GIF. Like I said, they don't look as good. They're not meant to. All right. So let's assume, like yesterday, if you remember on the test, I had you put in there a footer that said ampersand copyright, and then it said your 3 initials Inc. So let's say that I wanted to make my own logo JPS Inc. I'd probably do it as a bitmap file. All right. It would look okay, but it wouldn't be a picture. You see what I'm saying? If I decided, you know what, I did it like this and I don't like how it looks, could I make it like this? Yes. Then I'd have to turn it over to somebody professional to do that. All right? So again, there's your talk about those. I think we got to talk them out, so that's fine. How to include an image on a page. Guess what? You know what everything in here means. Here's a question. Look on the screen, please. See these 4 things? 2 of them are required. I was going to say which one, but you can see them. You have to put source. That's where you're getting it from. I'm going to expect from now on, I don't have to say anymore, put your images in an image file or an image folder. I'm just expecting I don't have to say that. You know that. You're both smart enough people to know that. All right? The alt tag, it used to not be required, but since so many people who are using the internet today have site limitations, that's what that's for. So if you've got a browser for the blind, it will say, you are now going, etc. Or this is a picture of, etc. All right? The height and width, typically today, you don't put those in. All right? Why? Because you want your thing to be responsive. Remember yesterday I told you how you should say width 100% your CSS? That tries to make your page responsive. All right? So here's a couple of examples. I'm not going to go run through any of this stuff here. All right? But notice here they made it small. So they've got 2 images. All right? One thing you may or may not be aware of, and I just want you to see this. It's not a big thing, but I just want to show you something here. I'm going to go out. We'll use this image. That's fine. So let's see. So I come in here and I'm going to download it for free. Yeah, there it is. So show in folder, and there it is. So I'm going to just grab that and drag that onto my desktop. There's a reason for this. I just want to show it to you. All right, so wherever that image is, clean up my desktop again. But let's let the system find it for me. So if I grab this image right now, there it is, Edgar Chaparro, and I bring this image up, okay, and I bring it up in Paint. There it is. See it? Now, notice if I come over here, again, you may know this, you may not, I don't know, but I'm going to click Resize. And I'm not going to give percentages, I'm going to go to here to Pixels. See that? And it says it's 3360 by 5040. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to manually change this. I'm going to make it about, I don't know, I'm just going to say here 1,000. Do you notice how that one automatically adjusted? See that? So if I click OK, still looks pretty good. See that? All right. So I come in here, I'm going to resize it. You know what? That's still a little too big. So I'm going to make that 500. Again, that adjusts. I'm going to say OK. Now I can probably use it on a page. All right. I could cut it down somewhere. You get the idea, right? Sometimes when you do this, and I'm just going to show it to you. Sometimes when you do this, you'll click resize and you'll do pixels. And you know what? When you do this, you don't want these both to change. All right? So notice if I click resize here and I tell it don't maintain the aspect ratio, see that? See this checkbox? I'm unchecking it. Now if I change this one, let's just say it's going to look bad, but just so you get the idea. I'm going to change this to 200. Notice how that one doesn't change? All right, and if I click OK, like I said, I knew it would look funny, but you get the idea. So if I ask you to resize an image on your next test, maybe to just add a page with an image on it and resize it, you should be able to do that. See what I'm saying? Okay.
What would it look like if you did the checkbox?
The only difference would be...
Would it look better?
No, yeah, because it would look better. And it would look better because when I come in here, let's see, this was 500. And that was 750. Well, now I'm going to have to uncheck it again so I can set it back to its right size. So that's 500. So this is what it looked like. All right. But now if I come back in here and I say to resize it again and I leave that in there, now anytime I change this, that one automatically changes. So it keeps it looking as nice as possible. Now, is it always going to look nice? Hell no. All right. But the system will try the best it can. And what we're going to do here in a couple weeks, I've shown you this already, but I want to show this to you one more time. If I can find it.
Can you create favicons that way?
Well, the thing is with the auto favicon maker, could you? Yes. But the actual recommended size for a favicon is either 16 by 16, 20 by 20, or 32 by 32. That's why you're best off, because they're so small, going to that favicon generator to do it. But could you? Sure you could. All right. I think I showed you already. We're going to be doing that demo where we're going to be building something in Bootstrap. All right. When we build that, I'm going to grab a bunch of pictures. I'm going to use the ones that we've got, but we're going to re-get them. Why am I telling you that? Because we're going to make a little slideshow, and you're going to notice with all the images are pretty much the same size except one. And that one looks funky because when it shows, there's white space on the top and bottom. So what we do is we manually go in and make them the same size as the other images. That's typically how you would use something like that. All right, and again, you'll see that fairly soon. All right. So again, height and width aren't used as often anymore because you typically use CSS. All right. Here, this is important, aligning stuff. If you want to align images vertically, there's a vertical align. How do you learn about that? You play with it. You put an image on a page and you start adding some of this stuff here. All right? So look at this. The images in a web browser before and after they're aligned. You might say they don't look any different. Yes, they do. Notice here how the writing is down near the bottom and here it's up near the top. See that? When you start making websites and you're doing it for money, people are going to expect they look professional. So in other words, if one of these was on the bottom and the next one was on the top and the next one, that would look bad. You want there to be consistency. All right, and this is one way that you can get it. Notice it says if you use pixels, points, or ems, the image is raised. If you specify a %, it's done by the percentage. I'd still always recommend that you use ems or rems whenever possible. All right, floating an image. You've seen this. Remember this? You weren't asked to do any floating on the last one. I might ask on one of the pages, where you've got a picture that you float. Okay? And they show you exactly how to do it here. Notice the image is floated to the left. All right, you want to make sure when you're done, you clear it out. So there's text, there's the image floated left, this is floated left, now this is cleared. Does all that make sense? All right. So as it says, you can use the same techniques to float an image that we did to float text. Okay, advanced skills for working with these. There are 2 HTML tags that you typically use with images. Look on the screen, please. You take an image and you put it inside of figure tags. Then, after your image, you put a fig caption in there. See where it says Scott Sampson and friend? See that? Scott Sampson and friend? So I might very well ask you to go back to one or more of the images that you put in to your last test and add fig captions. I might ask you to do all of them. I don't know. But again, it's not code. It's asking you to go in, basically put, I guess it is a little HTML, and then some CSS with it. All right? There is a picture element. All right, who cares? Well, notice this. This is kind of cool. Just so you see this. This is kind of cool. This thing right here, now you've got 4 different pictures. All right, mountains 1, mountains 2, mountains 3, and mountains 4. You can use that instead of making something 100%. You can have it there be 4 pictures. I don't know if they show it here or not. Nope, they don't. But the idea here is when you do that, okay, you're basically writing a media query in here, and you're saying, give me the big picture when I got 960 pixels. Give me a medium picture when you've got 768. Give me a smaller picture when you got 460, and the default will be this one. All right. Again, I'm hoping that we have some kind of a review a week from today where we can go over all this stuff. Okay. Here's a rollover. All right. And it says this image has been rolled over because the mouse is hovering on it. So that's typically the way that you set those up. All right. Now look at this. Image 1, hover. So that says this is the H2 image. They don't show the H1. The H2 image, this one, will only show when your mouse is in this area. As soon as you remove your mouse, that image will change. Does that make sense? All right. I will probably ask you, I'll go and look on that site for 2 images that are real similar to one another, and I'll ask you to put it in and have a hover. Okay? I'm not going to say do every one. That's stupid. Plus, it's really irritating to do that. But once in a while on one page, that would be something that would be good for you to do. So as it says, an image rollover is an image that gets changed when the mouse hovers over it. One way to do it is to use background images and the hover. Again, the way it's typically done is to use JavaScript. Since we haven't done any JavaScript yet, that makes no sense. All right? Okay. Have you ever seen a map of the United States where if you click on a state, it brings up that page's website? So if you click on Missouri, it would bring up the Missouri homepage. All right? If you click on Illinois, it would bring up the Illinois homepage. If you click on Florida, etc. Those are called image maps. When you set up an image map, okay, the idea, and here, show you the easiest example. Image map of the United States. All right? So, there's one. I don't know. I've never went out to this before. But the idea is...
You're buying one.
What's that?
That's a rug.
I'm not buying a rug, no. But that's a really crummy example. Let's see. Images for image map of the United States. These look like they might be better. All right. So look. See that? Now notice when I click here, ideally what that will bring up, it's not set up, but it'll bring up Florida. Okay? Am I going to ask you to do an image map? If I do, it'll be a very simple one. I wouldn't have you do something like this. You could spend the whole period setting up 50 different lengths. That'd be silly. All right. The other one that's real popular is the human body. A lot of times for medical students, they set up image maps. So when you want to learn about, the vascular system, etc., you can click on different things and what goes with what type of an idea. But they show you how to set it up. Okay, so all the code is in there. So anything that I ask you to do won't be any harder than anything that's in the book. All right, when to use an image editor. The best image editor is Photoshop. It's not free. Okay, just so you know, it's not free. There are other free ones that you can use. Sometimes you use one and you get done and you're like, that doesn't look very good. Like GIMP that they talk about here, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. There's a reason it's free. It doesn't always scale completely, but the idea is with Photoshop, you're supposed to be able to scale any image that's any size. You can make it any other size, and it won't look distorted at all. With GIMP, it will. I'm just telling you. GIMP does not let you do a lot of stuff that you can do with Photoshop. So again, GIMP is more like this. It'll allow you to go in and change some of this stuff. But with some of it, if I'm like, okay, this is 300 by 400, and I want to make it 100 by 400, it won't let you do that. So there are just certain things it won't let you do. It doesn't let you scale. There are other things online that you can use that will try to for free will scale stuff for you. But again, since it's free, it may or may not do it exactly the way you want it to be done. All right. So as it says, Photoshop, CC, Photoshop Elements, and GIMP are probably the best known. Now, see that? I might ask you to put an image on there with your initials. You can create that literally by clicking a button. But I might say, I want it to be transparent. See the difference between these? All right. You put it on a white background. That's without the background. That's it. So it says, if an image has transparency, it's displayed over a colored background which shows through. All right, we talked about this before, where to get images. The author's got other places that you can go. Look, notice there's freeimages.com, freephoto.com, etc. Just be real leery with some of those things. All right, it says many of these are available that are licensed under Creative Commons license. Look that up. With Creative Commons, with some of Creative Commons stuff, with some of it, if you don't give attribution, they can sue you. From what I've read, there's no problems with Pexels and Unsplash. That's why I've been using those, and I'm suggesting that you do. You know about Google Images. All right. What we're going to start talking about, not right now exactly, but we're going to be talking about Glyphicons. A site for you to check out is this one right here, fontawesome.io. Have you ever gone to a website and on the bottom you see the little images for Instagram and Facebook, etc., all those? Typically you go out to Font Awesome and get those. It's not hard to do. All right, you have to go out there, and the thing is, Font Awesome there's two ways you can use it. Free, which is what 99% of us do, and paid, which means you get better images, but you got to pay money for them. So most people choose the free option because it's a free option. All right, literally it's just a couple things that you have to add to code. You have to put in something that looks, for example, something like this. Okay? So if I wanted the globe, I could go out to Font Awesome. FAS, all right, Font Awesome symbol, I think that is. FA, Font Awesome, globe, FA, large. Literally, if you want to use one of them, Font Awesome, when you click on it, it shows you the code you have to add. So it's not like that's a really big, hard thing for you to do. All right, favicons, like I said, they're going to show you another way of doing it in here. I showed you what I thought was the easiest way, purposely. All right, about the last thing that's discussed in here, starting on 416, is scalable vector graphics. The cool thing about that is you can make GIF types of files that look really professional. But in order to do that, notice you have to set coordinates and the like. And a lot of people are like, that's just too hard. Right? I don't want to do it. It's too hard. If you're interested, you can go out into here. I wouldn't put anything about SVG on your test. I wouldn't do that. All right? So let's take a break. All right? Let's come back in 10 minutes. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to hand out to you the study guide for this chapter. All right? And we'll go over that. So like I said, let's come back. Let's tell you what, let's make it 9:15. It's about 9:02 right now.